Hi, this is Savannah,
And this is Brian from the Dorky Diva Show,
and you're listening to Star Wars.
the best place for below average Star Wars.
The Dorky Diva Show presents
Why is this seat so much more comfortable?
the long-awaited sequel to the adventures of the Zolan Dart audio drama.
Have you seen the captain's datapad?
Trying to work, Murph.
Piloting the Zolan Dart by himself,
You do understand the details of this particular job, correct?
I've been on plenty of jobs like this. With you!
Reldar Sias returns to a planet he thought he'd left behind for good.
Is there a reason you didn't mention I was tagging along?
Hopefully having you there will make others think twice about messing with me.
Making new friends
Oh, you must be the pilot of the Zolan Dart, yes?
I guess I am.
and reconnecting with old ones,
Reldar?
Vera?
What are you doing here?
until past grudges resurface.
I'd be minding my own business if I were you.
Well, if your business wasn't being handled right in front of my face, maybe I could mind my own business. We have to leave. Now.
Why the rush all of a sudden?
We're in trouble.
If it isn't little Reldar Sias.
Hey, Yorick. Long time no see.
Roz already knows you're here.
Oh,
Look who decided to come home.
Reldar must confront his origin,
I must admit, I never saw this as being a part of your past, Softshell.
or let it define his future.
I will get what is owed to me, no matter the cost.
because what Roz is trying to do is wrong.
Says you.
My blasters, we're going to need these. Take that, Sleemo!
Who do you think you are?
The Adventures of the Zolan Dart, Episode 2, coming soon.
Welcome to Star Wars, best place for below average Star Wars.
Hello there, and welcome to the Star Wars Show, the best place for below average Star Wars. I am the Geordie Jedi Pete,
And I am Jason Hondo Ling.
and we are back with another episode, again dedicated to reviewing the brand new Star Wars live action series Ahsoka, streaming now on Disney Plus. Our last episode, we talked about the first two episodes, the premiere, part 1, part 2. Today, we're going to be dissecting part 3, which is called Time to Fly, directed by Steph Green, the same director as last week's episode. And this episode was released on August 29th, 2023. Before we get into the quick synopsis of what happened in the episode, Jason, obviously, what time did you watch the episode? Did you watch it nice and early? Did you have to wait and stay off social media? And then sort of, what were just your initial feelings after watching it?
Well, I actually, strangely enough, literally woke up at about 10 to 2 in the morning. So I decided to stay awake, switched on the laptop, and at 2 o'clock, there it was waiting for me. So, yeah, I watched it almost as soon as it dropped. It's getting a bit of a habit, but I'm quite enjoying it, just getting up and watching it. It's given me a chance to watch it a few times. As I said to yourself, I've been off with a bad foot this week, so that gave me a good excuse to watch all 3 episodes back to back and really catch up on it. And although this was a short episode, it was a very enjoyable and full of action episode.
Yeah, I think so my alarm clock set for work for like 5:30, but I woke up at around 3:30, 4 o'clock, so I just got up, and I knew I would wake up a bit earlier, so I just got myself up and went and watched it, before getting ready for work, so worked out well for me. Yeah, the episode was over quite fast, and I think the episode's probably about half an hour long, 36 minutes long, something like that, just over half an hour. And I think for me, A, the runtime, and then B, obviously week 1 we got 2 episodes, and then this week we just got 1. When it finished, I was a bit like, all right, when I need more now, and then obviously, we have to wait till next Wednesday morning now in the UK, next Tuesday night for the rest of the world. So yeah, that was my initial feelings on the day. Just going into I'll give a brief synopsis, then we'll dive in.
Yep.
So, part 3, Time to Fly. So Sabine Wren restarts her training under Ahsoka and Hugh Wang's guidance as she struggles with her inability to use the Force. Hera Syndulla meets with Mon Mothma, the Chancellor of the New Republic, and a group of influential senators in order to gain permission to send Republic forces to Seatos to assist Ahsoka. Despite Mothma's support, the senators refuse to believe that Thrawn and Bridger are alive and deny Syndulla's request. Having been informed of this by Syndulla, Ahsoka, Sabine, and Huyang travel to Seatos, where they discover the Eye of Sion, which is obviously the ship that is going to go and retrieve Grand Admiral Thrawn, but are intercepted by a squadron of fighters led by Hattie and Marok. As Elsbeth uses the lasers of the Eye of Sion to fire on them. The group escapes by flying through a pod of Purrgil. So yes, the space whales are back and land on the surface of Seatos, where they take refuge in the forest as Huyang gives his full analysis on the Eye of Sion, which he classifies as a hyper jump gate. However, Hattie is aware that they are hiding somewhere in the forest. As a result, Baden Skoll dispatches his forces to hunt them down. So that's sort of a brief synopsis. I want to talk about the Hera, and obviously, Hera's on home one. It looks like she's with the New Republic, part of the New Republic fleet. She reaches out to the New Republic government via hologram transmission. So Mon Mothma's there as Chancellor, and then obviously we have some other senators, and essentially the request gets denied. They don't really want to risk war. They seem very skeptical. They don't want to fight. Almost as if, we're happy just sitting in our nice robes, in our posh seats in the capital, being all nice and lovely. The one who gives the most trouble is Senator Hamato Ziono, who is, if anyone knows, so obviously Star Wars Resistance, which is set 25 years after this. Obviously Kaz Ziono is the main character, and his father is a senator in the New Republic who actually passes away on Hosnian Prime during the Starkiller Base incident. So we get to see him. He's the one who challenges Hera quite a bit. I don't know what your thoughts were on the New Republic politics here, and also this guy's sort of not wanting to get involved at all.
Yeah, it is. I love seeing this bit. I always love seeing the return of Mon Mothma, who obviously, I think was treated pretty poorly by the sequel films, because she was a character that I think we all would have loved to have seen a bit of in the sequels. And obviously, with the what we've seen in Resistance, which I have managed to sit through once, but never managed to watch it ever again. Obviously, the character of Kaz and his father, we see him briefly, I think, in a hologram appearance, so we didn't really know what we were expecting to see. And obviously, we come across this, at this point, a very arrogant type of senator. I have to admit, the first time when I was watching it, I was thinking, "Oh, is he in league with the First Order?" And is this, is this where he's coming from? Does he know more than he's letting on? But then, as I watched the episode over another time, I thought, no, I think what we're seeing here is also what we've sort of seen in The Mandalorian, is that there's an arrogance in the New Republic that they've won. The Empire's gone, and because what they offer is better than what or as they see it, is better than what the Empire offered. You know, the Empire is no longer a threat, and I think it's sort of building towards so that we understand the arrogance and how the New Republic could end so drastically in the sequels. So again, I think these series are sort of mopping up a bit of what we didn't get from the sequels. But as you know, this is classic Star Wars. You know, you've got conflict even in the political arena. You know, Mon Mothma's clearly supportive of Hera, and I think if it had been her decision, they would have done exactly what Hera recommended. But it brought back almost the sequences that we saw with going right back to the Phantom Menace with Chancellor Valorum, where you've got the Chancellor who's supposed to be all powerful, but as Palpatine put it, this is where the bureaucrats come in, and you know everything around the Chancellor just goes to show that it's really the group decision, and quite often that decision might not be the right one.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, obviously, we've got a new republic now, so we now have senators where if you watch New Hope, obviously they get rid of the Imperial Senate. So there hasn't been a Senate for a while. So a lot of the senators won't have been involved in the rebellion, if that makes sense. Some of them might have been. So I don't think this guy has. I don't think Hamato Ziono has been involved. So that's why here, he's a fresh-faced guy, ready to make change. I think the New Republic is very much... They're trying to make themselves look very different from the Empire. So I think they're looking... I mean, it's in the Aftermath trilogy where, that they're trying to do demilitarize very quickly, and they also distance themselves from Luke Skywalker very quickly. After the events of Return of the Jedi, like as soon as they can, basically. So I think, they're not quite demilitarized yet here, but, I think, they're probably starting to think that way. So I think for me, I get what he's saying, and you can see why he might think that, because he's just trying to do things the nicey, PC way. And that's the way forward, but obviously he hasn't really fought in any of these battles, I don't think, until we'll find out he has, I suppose. Where someone like Hera has. Obviously, he's very quick to say, you're really just looking for Ezra Bridger, and it's like, well, no, like, Thrawn's a big threat. Yes, the bonus is we might find Ezra, but like that's the bonus bit. And obviously, I think there's another senator there who also mentions that, the Imperial remnants are too fractured, and really disrespects them a bit by saying, they're not going to cause any problems, which, shame on you guys, because they're going to go away and they're going to create the First Order, and they're going to kill you all on Hosnian Prime with the Star Killer. So that's their own hubris, I suppose, coming back to get them. It's funny, though, how, here we see Hamato sort of staying away from war, not wanting to get involved. I wonder if the events of this series, which I imagine is Thrawn coming back and causing some trouble, is why 25 years later, Hamato very much pushes Kaz to be in the New Republic X-Wing Squadron. I wonder what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought of that, although I think it's one of the things that comes through from Resistance is obviously Kaz very much goes against what his father, and I think if I remember rightly at the beginning of the series, they're slightly estranged anyway. So I think I think possibly what we're seeing is obviously, as you say, his leanings towards the demilitarization, and I think Kaz sort of goes against that and maybe sees something that his father wouldn't have known or wouldn't have wanted to see. But it's quite interesting when you start to see a character that we've met, so to speak, in the past, and now to come back and see how they've got to that point.
No, definitely. I think something else happens at the beginning of the episode as well is that obviously while Hera's trying to get the New Republic fleet to support Ahsoka, we see sort of Ahsoka, Sabine, and Yuang on the is it the D6 Jedi craft?
T6, is it?
T6, that's the one. Yep.
Yeah.
Obviously, we see Ahsoka doing some lightsaber training, which is really cool. Not just with Hugh Yang, but also with Ahsoka, which I thought was really cool. And then we also see some Force sensibility training, which again, I've been quite skeptical about whether she can use the Force or not. I don't think she can. Yeah, we see her trying a little bit, and it's doing nothing. So I don't know what your thoughts were on the lightsaber training, which was really cool, in my opinion, and then obviously the Force training as well.
This whole sequence to me sort of brought to life the whole feeling with Sabine and Ahsoka. Obviously, Huang is completely dismissive of the idea that Sabine could become a Jedi, which in itself is quite hilarious the way it's delivered. And you've got this very, almost like C3PO used to be, very pompous sort of droid, putting forward his programming and everything. And then obviously the training that we see Sabine doing with Hera then sort of harkens back to both the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy, because obviously in A New Hope we saw the sequence with Obi-Wan showing training Luke with the helmet with the visor down so that he couldn't see, and again we also saw that in Rise of the Skywalker, with I think it was Leia's training, where the helmet reveals obviously Leia's face underneath. Um, so it was quite obviously this is a way that the Jedi for centuries have sort of trained, using the Force to reach out. But to me, it was also reminiscent of the classic that I've always enjoyed, which is the Karate Kid, with the way the tricks that Hera was sort of playing on Sabine and the movement, and there was the skill of a martial arts expert rather than it was the way it was presented. You could really see Ahsoka as a teacher, which was sort of the first time I think we've really seen this, and obviously it shows her progression from where we left her at the end of obviously Clone Wars and then the end of Rebels. She's a very much more mature Ahsoka. And I've had a discussion with a few people that, a lot of people said, "Oh, I wish Ahsoka was a bit more light-hearted and a bit more like Ashley played her in the Clone Wars." But for me, Rosario Dawson is the mature Ahsoka who's been through everything that Ashley's Ahsoka went through, and now this is why we've got a very different type of character, and I think she plays it brilliant. But she's also got this calmness about her, which is very different to the more erratic Clone Wars snips that we had beforehand. I just think it shows great growth of the character and is really bringing it through in the series.
Well, yeah, I mean, Ahsoka in the Clone Wars is literally a child and a teenager,
Yeah,
where this is an adult who's been through the Clone Wars and then been through the Civil War, been through the Purge of the Jedi, been through the birth of the New Republic, and knows firsthand what Thrawn can do, and here sees that maybe Thrawn could be coming back. So it's a very serious time, and she understands that, and she's a very serious person. I think she does have bits of humor in her, which is good. But I think it's a serious time. She's a serious woman. Do you know what I mean? So it's yeah, absolutely. So I don't think we're going to get a grand scene down the line where Sabine somehow uses the Force. I just don't think that's going to happen.
no, me
It
neither.
does, but I just don't think so. I wouldn't have to ever get a flashback to like the initial conversation way back when Ahsoka agreed originally to take Sabine under her wing. It would be great to see that, I think, at some point. which is obviously like the entire backstory to this situation we're in now. But no, but I enjoyed the
Yeah.
interaction. I enjoyed the interaction between all three of them on board the ship. That was really cool with the training sequences. Yeah, I loved it when they come out of hyperspace and then they see the Eye of Sion attached to this giant hyperspace ring, hyper jump gate. Crazy times. What were your thoughts when we finally see that up close and personal from like Ahsoka's point of view?
Yeah, again, like when they drop out of hyperspace, I love the way obviously Sabine says, well, if we dropped out so far and you aim straight there, Jedi protocols. And again, it's just the banter that goes on, which is great. And obviously jumping out of hyperspace and seeing it from a distance sort of counteracts, what we've seen in the past, where obviously the Millennium Falcon came out of hyperspace and was hit by rubble, and then there was the Death Star. That was something that was again something of this magnitude brings back the vibes of what we've seen in the past. Um, I, the Eye of Sion for me is a bit of a, because I used to love in the Clone Wars like how the little ships had these hyperspace rings that they used to connect to go off into hyperspace. And obviously the thought of having to put a star cruiser into one of these to transport it, obviously it brings a whole new magnitude to it, and how immense it must have been. Obviously, it seems quite strange when all you see is Morgan Elspeth on the bridge, no one else around. Whereas obviously all previous ships and that have been very busy, bustling with crew, and it's almost like, wow, how's this all coming together? And um, obviously, what's going to happen? And then we've all seen the footage of what appears to be Thrawn walking onto that same bridge. So it's not just, it would almost appear like it's not just something that you connect your Star Cruiser to and off you go. It's like this will be the hub of where it all happens. Um, so again, and obviously we see the firepower released by it. Up against Ahsoka and Sabine, and obviously that leads us into the next bit of action that again was done really, really well.
Yeah, I get the impression that the Eye of Sion's obviously Morgan Elsbeth's ship, and then it's now also the ship and this hyperspace giant ring that's being attached to it, which I think they're going to use to get the throne. But then I think you can probably fit a Star Destroyer in the middle of the hyperspace ring. You think?
I would have thought so. I think that seems to be the plan that they're going for. Uh, Otherwise, why would you need such an immense space for? It's obviously something big's going to be transported by this.
Yeah. So if they transport just with it empty, just with the Eye of Sion at the top, to this unknown land to get Thrawn, if Thrawn still has the Chimera, which is his own personal Star Destroyer, then they could bring the Star Destroyer back. But I've heard someone else say is that what if they put a space whale in the middle of the gate? But who knows? We'll find out. It's probably a Star Destroyer, I think. I don't think it's going to be a space whale, but we'll find out. What were your thoughts on the Purgle? Obviously, I suppose we'll not get there just yet. Obviously, so Ahsoka and the crew on the T6, come out of hyperspace. They're scanning the hyperspace ring in the Eye of Sion, and then obviously they're attacked by Hattie and Marok and some of their team. And they're outfly them for a bit. We get a bit of a back and forth where Ahsoka doesn't want to do things Sabine's way, but it's not helping them. And obviously Sabine's probably the better pilot, to be fair, and better fighter when it comes to turrets. and then we see them get on the same page and they're able to take out some of the fighters that are chasing them. We also get a bit of back and forth between. I love the juxtaposition here because we get Sabine and Ahsoka start off not on the same track, but then get on the same track, which allows them to take out a lot of the fighters, which is fantastic. With sort of Sabine giving Ahsoka flight instructions so that she can use the turret properly. And then opposite, we have Morgan Elsbeth and Hattie, who are sort of, Morgan Elsbeth goes, "Leave it to me" at one point. Like, our turbo lasers on board the IS Ion and the hyperspace ring will take care of it, and Hattie says okay, and they pull back. But then, obviously, it doesn't work, and Hattie sort of gives Morgan Elsbeth a little bit of cheek back, to be fair, and rightly so. So I don't know what your thoughts were on sort of both sets of interactions and this whole sequence of a dog chase throughout space, which of course we love in Star Wars.
Yeah, no, like you rightly said, and I found it quite interesting as well because obviously, again, this shows the complexity of like what Yuang is because it's sort of him that points out to Ahsoka that she may be the great Jedi, but that doesn't take away the fact that Sabine, although her student, still is the better pilot, and she should be listening to her. Which I thought was really good that, that sort of got put across. Like you say, then there's Morgan Elspeth who's trying to got this real power play, I think, going on with Shin almost. And obviously Shin sort of treats her with a bit of disdain, I would say, because she's, as she describes her, as a witch sort of thing. And as you say, once the way she gives the cheek back, when Morgan Elspeth failed to destroy the T6, yeah, that was it showed this. There's definitely a conflict going on through those characters, and I've got a feeling that the conflict could be what brings those two characters down. I've got a feeling we could see those two face off sooner or later in the series. But then, yeah, like you say, the dogfight. I I know a lot of people have said, "How did Ahsoka get into that spacesuit so quick?" But I thought that was absolutely brilliant. And I know a lot of people had seen the images of Ahsoka in that spaceship when she space suit when she sits back down in the ship, and had thought that that was going to be a flashback to her and Anakin. So I sort of like the context that we actually see this is actually, as it seems with most of Star Wars, I think all of the stuff that we've seen in the trailers have almost all been seen now in the first 3 episodes, all apart from obviously Grand Admiral Thrawn. So, the whole sequence where she goes out and is running along the wing with her lightsaber. Obviously, she manages to take out one of the ships. It's a bit like the Star Wars equivalent to Star Trek's red shirts. When you see there's a third, when there's 3 ships and 2 of them are piloted by main characters, the third one's not going to finish the end of the show. And then, I was surprised Sabine didn't put up more of a fight in the end, but obviously it was pretty quick. Sorry, Ahsoka put up more of a fight. I thought she might have got off a bit more damage than she did. But then obviously, you sort of see her floating in space. And I do like, how we've got this character who's there's just no panic. She trusts that Sabine will sort it out and she'll be back on the ship pretty quick. So I really enjoyed that sort of play, and we've got the trust between the two characters, which obviously is going to be vital if they're going to survive.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I agree with your point. I can see is it Shan Haiti? I keep forgetting Catty's first name.
I think it's Shin, is it?
Shin. That's
Is
the
it?
one. Shin Hattie. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I can definitely see, because she's obviously a Padawan to Balin, and we've seen the way, when they met on the surface of Satos last episode, or during one of the first or second episodes, when sort of she gives him instruction, but she waits to speak to Balin first before she goes. And then he had a bit of back and forth where, she's loyal to Balin, not to
Yeah.
Thrawn, not to Elsbeth. So it'd be really good to see that happen, I think. I love the spacesuit sequence. It was something straight out of Clone Wars, like similar to when they've wore the spacesuits in Clone Wars, and similar to when they've wore the underwater suits in Clone Wars as well.
Yeah.
Doing some awesome arcs. That was really cool. Jedi Clone Wars action. It was great. And, but I also love the fact that, obviously Ahsoka was able to defend the ship and cause a distraction at the same time, which was really good. But then once she jumped off the ship, she was reliant on Sabine sort of turning the ship back to get her back on board the ship, if that makes sense. And then obviously, the fact to hide on the surface of Satos in the forest while the ship gets repaired. So we'll see what happens there. We also see them flying through the Purgle, using the Purgle to help them hide from Shin in the gang. What were your thoughts on seeing the Purgle, and how strange that this is the planet where, this planet has, I'm assuming it's Night Sister archaeology, because that sort of map setup that we saw in the first two episodes is on this planet, that Elsbeth was able to control. And then here we see the Purgle obviously seem to habit this area naturally. What's your thoughts on all of that?
Yeah, obviously the return of the Purgles has been hinted at in previous episodes, and everyone expected to see them at some point. I think it's quite cool that we see them here around this planet, like you say, where the Night Sisters of Dathomir seem to have had very much an impact. So obviously they must have known about they must know a bit about the Purgles. I think the effects of the Purgles and the way it was done for the battle sequence was absolutely brilliant. And I loved the way, they were weaving in and out, and obviously Sabine masterfully went through. I liked the bit at the end when they'd actually sort of crash landed, and then Sabine said, "That's the first time I've seen those creatures since Ezra." And again, you can see that sort of affected her. And I think now she's suddenly realizing that there is actually possibly a way that she could see Ezra again. So there was a little bit of it was slightly moving almost when you saw the Purgles, because it did sort of make you realize, yeah, we don't know the full story of what happened at the end of Rebels.
Yeah, and I think, obviously the Night Sisters date back probably as long as the Jedi, thousands, millions of years maybe. The Purgle obviously could travel through hyperspace before sentient beings could, I think, perhaps in the Star Wars universe. And maybe the Star Wars galaxy learned how to travel through hyperspace and what the lanes were through seeing the Purgle do it. So it's obviously a very ancient species. So, yeah, great to see them. I thought they looked great, the same as you. Obviously, they've been hinted at, but now we've seen them. And I think this gets me excited because, the Purgle are here, the star map's here, hyperspace ring's ready. So, I think, the next few episodes, we're going to see Thrawn. We're going to see, hopefully, Ezra as well, fingers crossed. And it pretty much ends with, as I said, Ahsoka and the gang are sort of going to repair the ship, are there hiding in the forest. And then, obviously, Balin sends the team out into the forest to hunt them down. And obviously we've seen some clips. I think the next episode is where we're going to see Balin face off against Ahsoka. I think Marok will face off Ahsoka first, and then Ahsoka will defeat Marok, and then we'll come across Balin. And obviously we're going to see Shin versus Sabine 2.0. Hopefully Sabine is a bit better this time. So yeah, what was your thoughts on the end of the episode and how it sets it up for next week, and what are you expecting next week, Jason?
Obviously, I think next week we're going to see a bit of cat and mouse. Obviously, Balin's basically on the hunt for Ahsoka and Sabine. Um, it'll be interesting to see, how much of that is the episode. How long is the episode going to be? And is there more surprises, and how close are we actually getting to see Grand Admiral Thrawn in the flesh? Because that's the one thing that we're all looking for. Are we going to have to wait until the end of the series? And is it just going to be the last two episodes? There's so much going on. It'll be interesting to see, and also, is Hera going to come to the rescue as well? Because I can't believe she's just going to sit back and not offer some sort of assistance. And I still can't believe we've got this far and we haven't seen the ghosts.
So I think you've just answered your questions. I think obviously the New Republic fleet can't come, obviously. So I think Hera's going to come with the Ghost, with Jason Sandula, and possibly Zeb, maybe not, to get them off this planet. And I think probably chase the Eye of Sion through hyperspace to wherever it's going. So I think that's who's going to come to the rescue. I hope the Jedi ship doesn't get destroyed, because I think it's it's got a lot of service in it and a lot of knowledge in it, and it's important to the Jedi Order and the survival of the Jedi Order, I suppose. So we'll see how that goes. But no, I think, any closing thoughts? I think we've missed that you want to discuss about Part 3, Time to Fly?
Yeah, one thing we haven't discussed is obviously the brief but great appearance of Jason Sandula, who obviously, we've seen him briefly at the end of Rebels, and then there was a lot of talk when the reveal of the Ghost Lego kit came out, and he clearly didn't have the green hair. And I know there was a lot of relief when we saw the character, and although obviously it's very much green mixed in with a darker colour, that for me worked um, perfectly, because obviously we've got now to what we can assume is a slightly older version of Jason from what we've seen in Rebels, and obviously he's a mix of his mother and father, and obviously that's why possibly the dark hair's sort of pushing its way through. But I really enjoyed seeing this character, and obviously it was quite sweet the way Mon Mothma said, "Oh, how's Jason doing?" Again, it shows sort of the fact that this is a child very much born out of the back of the rebellion. So he can also be seen as a bit of a hope for the future for the rest of the galaxy.
Yeah, you got to remember, he was born during the rebellion. So if you remember,
Oh yeah,
the events of Rebels take place, before New Hope. So, although Sabine stays on Lothal to protect it, but the attack never comes. Hera's very much part of the rebellion. So she would have, bear in mind, Kanan's dead at this point, so she would have give birth to Jason during this period, and then raised him while also being, rising through the ranks to become a New Republic, a rebellion general. So she would. So Mon Mothma will be perfectly aware of who Jason is. I think Jason looked great. You could, you can tell it's their child, which is fantastic. I think he does a line, doesn't he, where he said he wishes he was trained to be a Jedi, which I think was really cute, and also points out that he knows who his father is, and we haven't seen him use the Force yet, but if he does, then maybe Ahsoka will take him under his wing at some point. We will see, or maybe it'll be Ezra who does that.
so many possibilities this series is leading to.
Yeah, I mean, I think then in a cliffhanger where Thrawn will just arrive, maybe. Cause,
that's what I'm beginning to wonder.
Well, we're 3 episodes in, so we've got 5 left? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah.
Yep.
So The next one's by Dave Filoni. Sorry, no. The next one's directed by Peter Ramsey. Then episode 5 is directed by Dave Filoni. So I reckon 5 could be a big one with some craziness going on. But it depends how long they are. I mean, if they're all half an hour long, which I hope not, I hope they're a bit longer, then, I think we could very much be ending with a cliffhanger, which is awesome because it means we're getting more Ahsoka, but also at the minute with the strikes going on, like, we're not getting that anytime soon, which is worrying. So time will tell, I suppose. But yeah, I think next episode we'll have sort of a lot of lightsaber battles. I think we're going to see Marok and Ahsoka go one-on-one. We're going to see Ahsoka and Balin go one-on-one. When them two do, there's going to be a lot of chat about the Jedi Anakin, which I'm excited about. And then we're also going to see, I think, Sabine and Shin go one-on-one again. Hopefully Sabine survives this time, doesn't get stabbed, fingers crossed. And then Hera will save the day, maybe. That's what my predictions are. Anything else, Ahsoka, you want to chat before we move on?
No, I think all I can say is I'm loving every second of it, which I knew I would. Anything that's headed up by the King Filoni is perfect for me. And it's delivering so far everything that I was hoping it was going to, and maybe even a little bit more. I think it's although I enjoyed Mandalorian season 3, I did feel that it sort of dropped a bit in the level, and I think Ahsoka's now picked that up, which is making me more excited, knowing that they're all linked together. Obviously, I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next with those series.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of more Ahsoka, obviously Star Wars The Vintage Collection The Ghost, which is a HasLab exclusive. You have to back it. Obviously, it's been backed, so it will be getting made. It's currently at 12,995 backers, and there is 3 days, 9 hours, and 4 minutes left. So, just to clarify, that means that we have unlocked. So we've unlocked the Ghost, we've unlocked the Phantom 2 shuttle, which comes with Chopper. We've unlocked the Hera Syndulla figure, which comes on the Rebels card back. And we've unlocked the Ezra figure that comes on the Rebels card back. And then, so next is Kanan. He gets unlocked at 14,000. So I think we'll get him definitely. Because there's usually a lot of bids, a lot of backers come in the last couple of days. And then the one after that is 17,000. Can we do that? I hope so. And then we get Zeb on the Vintage Collection Rebels carded figure. What they've said is if it gets backed with all figures, they're going to release the rest of the Ghost crew with the Muriels. So that'll include Chopper, I'd imagine, separately with the Muriel and also Sabine. And so yeah, and Sabine as well, which would be awesome. So that's why it's important that we get this unlocked and backed. Very, very important that we do that. Obviously, mine is backed. I'm excited to get it. I did see the T6 Jedi or Ahsoka Jedi ship Lego in the Lego store this morning, Jason. It looks really, really awesome. Are you going to get it?
I'm just looking at the moment. It's funny, as you know, I'm really, really keen on getting the Ghost. I'm sort of holding off at the moment. To tell the truth, there's pretty much every Lego kit that's coming out at the moment I want to get. It's money and room that is holding me back. The T6 does look like a really nice build. I feel it's quite expensive for what it is, and I think you're paying for the minifigures there. I'm also seeing a lot of criticism online about the build, and it's that there's little bits that aren't quite as good as they could be. So I'm holding off on that one. I haven't seen it in person yet. I need to get to a Lego store to have a proper look. I was almost tempted to head to the Lego store today, but when I did a stock check, they were out of all of the ghosts and phantoms. So at the moment, the only way I'm likely to get that is it's still showing as available on Lego.com. So I'm hoping I'm going to see how I go over the next few days. But as I think I've probably said on here before, I've got the Ghost and both Phantoms in Lego already from the original releases. So I really, I want to get this set and sort of display the two together. Um, and also obviously to get as many of the characters to go with it as I can. Um, I've got again with the original Ghost when it was released. You got Hera, you got Kanan, Zeb, Chopper, Ezra, but you didn't get Sabine. And then the only way you could get Sabine with both her hairpiece and the helmet was by getting the Imperial craft, which for my 40th birthday my parents kindly got me at quite an inflated price. But I I have got the entire original Ghost crew in Lego, which for me is a little bit more exciting than the HasLab one.
Indeed. So I'm not a Lego expert, but I thought the T6 looked really good in the minifigures.
Yeah.
You get obviously great minifigures. You get both Balin and Shin, which is really cool. What was I going to say?
Yeah, the other thing I point out to people with obviously released on the 1st of September is a set that hasn't got mentioned much is obviously the this year's Lego Star Wars Advent Calendar. If you like just collecting smaller pieces, and I think I definitely want to do it this year. My youngest has really got into doing the smaller builds and that, so I'm thinking I might get her one of the Star Wars Lego Advent calendars to do that along with her leading up to Christmas. But that's got some really nice minifigures in it this year, and some really cute different designs and everything. So it's just a nice one, and at 30 quid, it's not a bad price.
Definitely, is that available now?
Yeah, that was released September 1st. I think at the moment it's mainly available through Lego. I haven't seen it appear on Amazon yet. I have been keeping an eye, and it hasn't appeared in Argos, which is where I normally see it. So it may be a case of heading to your nearest Lego store or Lego online.
Yep. Speaking of Ahsoka, I have just picked up. Well, I hope to pick up. I've paid for it, so I'm in a Micro Galaxy Squadron UK Facebook group. So Ahsoka Starfighter, which is a 1 in 5,000 chase variant. This is the Ahsoka Starfighter that's in the Attack of the Clone style Jedi Starfighter, as opposed to the Giant Interceptor from Revenge of the Sith ship. It comes with the hyperspace ring. So you get Ahsoka, you get is it R7 Ahsoka's droid's called?
Yeah, I think so.
So you get Ahsoka, you get R7A7, which is a Ahsoka's droid. You get the ship and you get the hyperspace ring. And once you pick that up for £24 all in, so hopefully that'll be getting delivered soon. Obviously, I've got the X-Wing Luke's Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker's X-Wing from the Mandalorian chase variant. And then obviously this will be my second chase variant. And I've also got my first normal set. So in this group, when I'm in on Facebook, I recommend it, to be fair. Argos all of a sudden put on a mega deal on the Millennium Falcon and on the Razor Crest down to £11.
Did you get them?
So mad scramble. Couldn't get the Falcon because the Argos website's a bit clunky. Couldn't get the Falcon, I'm afraid, but I was able to get the Razor Crest from like the Newcastle Eldon Square Argos. So I picked that up for 11 quid. So I do have that. So with that not being a chase variant, I might unbox that actually and let it breathe. And unbox it, but we'll see. So yeah, I've got the Razor Crest now in my hands. So I've got the Razor Crest, I've got Luke's X-Wing chase variant, and then hopefully if this Ahsoka turns up, if this seller's correct, which I'm sure he is, I'll have that as well. So quite excited.
Yeah, I'm jealous. Obviously, I've got, as you know, both Millennium Falcons from the Galaxy Squadron, and I've also got the Razor Crest. I wasn't aware till I looked up. I think it was one of the same groups I was reading that there's a variant of the Razor Crest where it's been slightly disassembled by Jawas, which I'm going to have to look to see if that ever comes available online because that looks really cool. Um, but I love the Micro Galaxy Squadron stuff. It's so addictive. And if you look, there are some really good deals about on it, but it's finding them. But that Argos deal, yeah, you did really well there, Pete, getting that Razor Crest.
Yeah, it was. I honestly felt it was the last one in the country, like available. Like everyone was gobbling them up. I said I missed out on a Falcon, but lucky managed to get that. So yeah, obviously the line's hard to find in the UK. UK distribution's been a problem for Jazzwares, I think. I know in America they're going to be starting their Jazzwares direct to consumer site soon, which is a big thing for their AEW wrestling figures as well as the Star Wars line. So I'm hoping. So it's essentially their Hasbro Pulse. Essentially, is what it's going to be. So I'm just hoping that that's available for UK people, and then we'll be able to get them direct from Jazzwares, not have to worry because this Razor Crest and Falcon, they've been around a while. It's Series 1. Do you know what I mean? I think they're on Series 3 now. Is that right? So
yeah, I think they're headed into Series 4.
Yeah, and obviously in the group I'm in, they talk a lot about a lot of people try to get them like sent in from America and things like that. But no, but it's an awesome line. Obviously, fully displayable, fully playable. But no, I'm glad to have captured the Razor Crest on a great deal, and then obviously hoping this Ahsoka turns up and this hell is good, which I'm sure he is. And I'm excited to get that, which will be absolutely wonderful. But yeah, I think that's all my purchases and all my Star Wars chat for 1 week. I think, Jason, is there anything Star Wars you want to chat about before we wrap it up?
Actually, it's just a little flashback one here that I came across whilst tidying up over the last couple of days. I know there's been lots and lots of talk about who Marok is, and Pete and I have discussed it at length, and we definitely don't think it's Galen Marok, also known as Starkiller. But I actually found both the Force Unleashed and Force Unleashed 2 graphic novels, which I've started rereading. So I forgot I even had them. So I'm quite looking forward to sitting down and reading through them.
Indeed, and there's a lot going on. So I think if you listen to us on Spotify, that's like on our episodes now, you'll find that there'll be some polls going up and some questions that you can interact with, and obviously we'll read them out on the show. So we might put on who do you think Marok is and give whoever gives the wildest answer a shout out on the next episode or when we find out who he is. I imagine Marok is just an Inquisitor. I imagine he's just a brother. A brother from another mother. That's who Marok is. But who knows? Maybe Marok is Snoke. You reckon? To be fair, I've got a deck. I've got a deck of Rogue One cards here, trading cards. Let's just pull some names at random. Marok could be Bistan. Marok could be. Let's have a look. Bodhi Rook. He could be a stormtrooper. He could be Director Krennic. Marok could be a shore trooper. He could be Chirrut.
I like the idea of Marok being Jar Jar Binks fallen to the dark side.
He could be, couldn't he? He could be R2D2. Who knows who he is? Marok. Maybe.
I don't.
What if Marok is actually the Rock?
Yeah. I don't think there's been so many questions about a character quite before. And there seems to be this obsession that it just can't be an Inquisitor, another Inquisitor. It's got to be someone we know. But yeah, whether we'll ever find out is another thing.
Indeed. Where can the people find you on social media, Jason, as we wrap it up?
You can find me as always at Hondo Ling. I think I got that right. On what was previously known as Twitter.
Now called X. You can find the podcast on Twitter or X at BorsStar. You can also find the podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and YouTube at Star Wars Podcast. You can find me on X or Twitter and also Instagram at Joy Jedi Pete. As I said, if you're listening on Spotify, please leave us a top review. Makes us smile, and it also helps people find the show. And also, if you are listening on Spotify, keep an eye out for those polls we'll be posting up, and also some questions, just to make it fun and interactive. And we'll definitely shout these out on the future episodes as and when it pleases. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, also, you can leave reviews on there. So please leave us a top review on Apple Podcasts if you're listening on there. Again, makes us smile for a long time, helps people find the show. Any other place listening to it, if it lets you rate it, please just give us a top rating. Again, just makes us all smile here at Star Wars. Makes us happy. It's happiness for free. Just takes you a couple of seconds and makes us smile all day. And helps people find the show. To wrap it all up, thank you very much for listening, everyone. One other quick shout out. Obviously, my mum and dad have actually come down with COVID this past week. So, stay safe out there, guys. I don't think it's going to be anything major like it was in the pandemic era, but, it's obviously still lingering as we approach the winter and autumn. So stay safe out there. Be careful. May the force be with you all. And remember, always tell that to Kanja Club.
Hello, Star Wars listeners. This is Savannah Odit. You might know me as host of The Dorky Diva Show with my co-host Brian Balance. I am also producer of The Adventures of the Zolan Dart, which is a Star Wars-inspired audio drama that we produced over the last year. If you love stories about smugglers, courage, heroic characters, and maybe a few foes along the way, you should go to thedorkydivashow.com and listen to The Adventures of the Zolan Dart today.
Shout! We've got your pigs.
Were any of the critters harmed?
What did you do now?
I didn't do anything. I just freaked out for no reason.
It was nice doing business with you again. Maybe next time we could deliver something less temperamental.
Now, what you call temperamental, I call fun.
Hey, is there a place nearby where I can make some repairs?
3 clicks south of here, you'll find a small spaceport. They should have what you need, as long as it's nothing too big.
Dynamic class? My stars, you don't hear about many of those still being space-worthy.
It's been in my family for a while.
She's pretty great. Any chance you have a hover cart we can use to load up?
I'll check out the HoloNet to see if anything new has come up in the sector.
My name is Sereth Kol. I am the chief here on Kamai. My people and I have been experiencing food shortages as of late due to unforeseen natural occurrences. We are looking to hire someone.
I say we take this one. The pay is great, and it's the type of job we're familiar with.
Welcome. You must be Captain Otoa. I've already sent word to Pac 2 to expect you in the next cycle or so.
You told him we were coming before we even accepted the job. That's rather presumptuous, isn't it?
Perhaps, though once I received confirmation that you were interested and on your way here, I couldn't help but hope.
Fair enough. Well, we'll be back as soon as we can.
Well, that's not good.
Is that blaster fire I hear?
So you're the one.
Captain, it sounds like they want to do this the hard way.
I love when they got some fight in them.
This is bad. This is bad. We're about to have a lot of company.
I'll see you soon.